The nominees for the 2024 Game Awards have finally been announced. What do I think will win? Let's talk about it. Hello there everybody and welcome to The Comfy Spot. My name is Tyler and today we are going to be going over my predictions for what I think and what I hope will be winning at the 2024 Game Awards this year. The nominees were finally announced. They got announced today, yesterday as of this video going live, but I'm excited to go over this. I have only seen the Game of the Year nominees. I have not looked over any of the other categories prior to recording this video. So, Game of the Year, there's some controversy surrounding that. We'll discuss that when we get to it. But first, before we get into this, I want to say two things first right up front. Number one, there will be certain categories that I will not be going over, such as the esports categories, content creator of the year, best sim strategy. There might be a few others that I'm not going to discuss any predictions for, simply because I have no interest in the category, or I don't have enough of a perspective or insight or knowledge or awareness of the games in that category to make a prediction in any way, shape, or form. So rather than just waste time talking about them, I'm not going to do them. Simple as that. Point number two that I wanted to make though is the fact that, whenever the Game Awards comes around, there's always conspiracy theories about, oh man, why is this a nominee? Why is that not a nominee? And I just want to say again, as a reminder for people who forgot or maybe just do not know, although Jeff Keighley is the creator of the Game Awards, he does not actually nominate any of the games that are getting nominations. He is just the creator of the Game Awards and the host of the show. The voters, the people who actually nominate the games, are many of the press and influencers and those outlets out there in the games industry, the very notable ones, whether it be your IGNs, your Kinda Funnies, your Giant Bombs, your GameSpots, Eurogamers, so on and so forth. It is a laundry list of actual journalist outlets out there that nominate the games that end up in the Game Awards, not Jeff Keighley. So if a game that you wanted is not in here, it is not Jeff Keighley's fault, okay? It is not Jeff Keighley's fault. Now, all that said, this is going to be quite a lengthy video, so I really want us to have fun with this. There are going to be timestamps in the description, that way you can bounce around to the different categories you would like to hear my predictions on, most importantly. But I encourage you, let's sit down, strap in, get cozy here in the comfy spot. Let's have ourselves a fun, just relaxing, interesting, passionate conversation regarding my predictions about what I think will be winning at the Game Awards and what I hope will be winning at the Game Awards. But that's enough from me. Without further ado, let's get right on into this. Alright, we are going to start over here with most anticipated game, which is recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. I'm pretty sure this category, unlike all the others, is 100% fan voted, so the industry has no sway in this one here, unlike all the others where it is the actual journalists, the people who nominated the games, where 90% of the vote is on their hand, it's on them, and 10% of the vote is from us, the viewers, the fans out there. Most anticipated, I'm pretty sure this one is all us, all fans out here. So our nominees for this one, we have Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghost of Yotei, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm actually looking forward to all of these games, even Monster Hunter Wilds, which I'm not going to be playing. Monster Hunter is always a series that I'm interested in, but I just never get into it because it's just a really time commitment related game and I don't have the time for it and all. And also very multiplayer heavy. I would need a group and friends for that, and don't got that for this game. But no, for me, from this one, it's gotta be GTA 6. I'm voting GTA 6, that is my most anticipated game from this list here. Under that would probably be Ghost of Yotei, and then Death Stranding 2, and then Metroid Prime 4. But yeah, I'm going GTA 6 on this one. It just gotta be. GTA 6, crazy. I'm super excited for that. I bet that one's also gonna win this as well. So easy category here, GTA 6, most anticipated game. Next category we have is Best Adaptation, which is recognizing outstanding creative work that faithfully and authentically adapts a video game to another entertainment medium. We have Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon Yakuza, and Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. Now, admittedly, I have actually not seen any of these. This year, I have really not watched much TV or movies at all. I've been really heads down on my Revisited Kingdom Hearts series. Check that out if you have not already over here on the channel. I wanted to watch Fallout though, and you know, from everything I heard, it was awesome, it was amazing, and it looked amazing. Arcane, I mean, I've only watched the very first 3 episodes of the first season, and it left me emotionally devastated to the point that I have not watched any more of it, although I want to. So I imagine that's probably what will win this, if not Fallout, but like, it's probably going to be Arcane. You know, the other 3 here, I mean, Like a Dragon Yakuza, I didn't hear great things about it, so I'm not expecting that one to win. This is really a race between Fallout and Arcane, to be quite honest. I'm going to put my vote on Arcane solely because, again, I know this is for season 2 for sure, not season 1, but if the first 3 episodes of season 1 are any indicator, season 2 is just like probably on another level. So I'm going to vote Arcane on this. I imagine Arcane wins it as well. If it's not Arcane, it would almost certainly be Fallout. I would be surprised if anything except for those 2 won this category here for Best Adaptation. Next up, we have Best Multiplayer, which is for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game, genre, or platform. Let's see, our nominees here, we got Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. I don't think there's anything else under it. No, just these 5. What do I think is gonna win in this category? I mean, if I was a betting man, I would say the obvious answer is between Black Ops 6 and Helldivers 2. Just because those are the 2 most, you know, multiplayer online. There's been a whole lot of praise behind both of those games this year. I think people like Super Mario Party Jamboree. I think that one came out to pretty good praise. All these games really did, but I think the 2 biggest ones are probably Black Ops 6 and Helldivers 2. Although Warhammer, I know people were having a lot of fun with the co-op for that. But I honestly think the answer for this is going to be Helldivers 2. And that's what I'm going to vote for as well, because good, I have not played Helldivers 2. It's a game I wanted to play because it just looks like so much fun. And when it came out, like, that game took the world by storm. Everyone was actually surprised, like, oh wow, Helldivers 2 is actually really freaking dope. It's really amazing. It's a lot of fun. It's crazy co-op, just chaos and action, and it's just awesome. So that's why I'm gonna vote Helldivers 2, because I imagine that's what's gonna win this. And I would like to see it win this. You know, Call of Duty, not to take away anything from Black Ops 6. I enjoyed the beta from what I played of it. You know, so I'm sure it's fun. I'm sure it's probably worthy of Best Online Multiplayer, although from what I've heard, spawns in that game are not great and the maps aren't the best either. So taking it a couple notches down. But again, it's also Call of Duty, and it's one of those things where, like, because it's Call of Duty, it's such a known factor where, like, unless this does something that's really mind-blowing, like, we don't need to give the award to Call of Duty just for being a good Call of Duty game. So, you know, maybe that's a bit, you know, like, oh, you know, maybe it seems a bit like giving another game a participation award, or giving Black Ops 6 a participation award. I don't know. But end of the day, Helldivers 2 is what I'm going to vote for, what I would like to see win, what I think it's going to do, what I think is going to win. Because, yeah, like, it took the industry by storm, took fans by storm, critics by storm. Everyone was having a ball with that game. People were even saying it should be like a GOTY nominee. So, you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but I'm going Helldivers 2 for Best Online. Well, not Best Online, for Best Multiplayer Game. All right, so we have skipped the Best Sports and Racing and the Best Sim Strategy category. We are going to Best Family Game. This is for the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre or platform. And our nominees here are going to be Astro Bot, Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario Party Jamboree, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire. It's always funny, the best family game category, because a lot of the time it tends to end up getting like the nickname of the best Nintendo game category, because majority of the games in it, or all the games in it sometimes, are just Nintendo games, which is kind of funny and a bit of like a, I don't know, like a degrading type of thing if you want to think about it like that. But nonetheless, interesting nominees here. I think the two that are not going to get it almost certainly are Princess Peach Showtime and Plucky Squire. Like, I think I heard mixed things about both games. I really want to play Plucky Squire, just haven't got around to it because, again, time and other focuses and stuff. But I know both those games, pretty mixed reception. Again, Super Mario Party Jamboree, that's definition of a family game. It's a party game there. But in regards to reception, it doesn't even compare to Astro Bot or Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And honestly, I think this is going to go to Astro Bot. It is the only one I've actually played from this category. And, you know, so maybe there's a bit of a bias there. But even just without that in mind, Astro Bot is such an amazing freaking game, guys. It is so freaking good and so fun. Such an amazing game. It is so creative, so charming, so innovative, I guess, with how they go about the levels that they designed and the way they use the DualSense in the levels as well. Like, you know, Team Asobi, they're on a whole other level over there with Astro Bot. It is an amazing game. One of my favorite games this year new games that I've played this year. I imagine it's going to go to Astro Bot as well, because again, it's either between this or Legend of Zelda, and Astro Bot just has that family-friendly, really charming, easy platformer appeal. Even though some levels aren't that easy, but you know, it has that same appeal that a 3D Mario game does, or even a 2D Mario game does, that makes it more family friendly than a Zelda game, which even though this Zelda game is not like other Zelda games, it just still makes it a bit more family friendly, family oriented, something that you could just get anyone to jump on in. They're like, oh, this is cute, this is fun, kids can play it and all. So that's why I think Astro Bot's gonna get it, on top of it being a fantastic game, and I would love to see it get it as well because it is an amazing game. So my vote, best family game, is going to go to Astro Bot. We're gonna make a quick stop here in the best fighting category for best game design, primarily around head-to-head combat. Nominees here are Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Multiverses, and Tekken 8. If I was to bet, I was gonna say Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is probably gonna win this. And again, I have no horse in the race. I'm not a fighting game person, but solely looking at the nominees here and just based off my knowledge of them, I feel like this is probably gonna go to like Dragon Ball or Marvel vs. Capcom. Most likely, maybe Tekken 8 as an underdog in this. Well, not an underdog, but like being the next one up. But I feel like Dragon Ball might win this. I'm not gonna put a vote in on this, but I just wanted to chime in real quickly here. I feel like Dragon Ball might win this, and I feel like a lot of Dragon Ball fans and anime fans out there are like, hey yo, Sparking Zero, let's see Sparking Zero get the win. So, you know, hey, why not? Why not let Dragon Ball Sparking Zero get the win? We'll see what happens with it. All right, next we have Best RPG. This is for the best game design with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. Our nominees here are going to be Dragon's Dogma 2, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, and Metaphor ReFantazio, or Fantasio. Not sure how you pronounce the last name of that. This is an interesting category to say the least. Of the games on this list, I've only played Rebirth. I loved Rebirth. If you saw my review, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It's an amazing game, superb game, as my review scales goes. 9 is superb. I love Rebirth. I know a lot of people love Rebirth, but I also know in the months since it's come out, opinion has kind of swayed on it a bit critically, but it is definitely very deserving and is very likely to get the win here. The two that are probably going to get bumped from this list, most likely from critics and everything, will be Dragon's Dogma 2 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. No shade to either of those games, but when you're going up against Rebirth, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, and Metaphor ReFantazio, which have been, all three of them, really critical darlings this year, it's like, it's not gonna happen. It's not happening. So I feel like of these three, between Elden Ring, Rebirth, and Metaphor, what do I think is going to win this? It's a very tough one. As much as I love Rebirth, I think Rebirth is the easy answer to give, but I think it's really a fight between Elden Ring and Metaphor. Because both, I mean, Elden Ring, shout out to Erdtree, everyone's saying it was an amazing game, just as good, if not better than base game Elden Ring. Metaphor, everyone's out here saying it's one of the best RPGs of the past decade, of the generation, one of the best RPGs of all time, an even better game than Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal. The Atlas really brought their A game here. So like, those are two like top tier contenders right there. The Elden Ring side of things, it's Elden Ring, and everyone loved Elden Ring, so I could see it going that way easily. Metaphor, everyone did love Metaphor, but the only thing I could see possibly causing Metaphor not to get it is because Metaphor is a long game from what I've heard. I want to play it. It's probably going to be a game I play next year. From what I've heard, Metaphor is a long game, as an Atlas RPG is. They tend to be. It's a pretty long game, and also Elden Ring is just way more of a mainstream game than Metaphor, unfortunately. So I feel like Elden Ring will probably win this. I wouldn't be mad at it winning it either, considering what it's up against. I wouldn't be mad at it winning it. I would love to see Rebirth get it. I'm gonna vote though. This is gonna sound weird and blasphemous. I'm gonna vote though for Metaphor, solely because everything that I have heard about Metaphor has been like, utterly game-changing. Everything I've heard people say about Metaphor has reminded me of how I felt after I played Persona 5 Royal. And after I played Persona 5 Royal back in 2020, I was like, this is instantly my number 2 game of all time, point blank, period. Like, it instantly shot up there. It is one of the best games I have ever played in my entire life. One of my favorite games I've ever played in my entire life. And everything I heard and read about Metaphor more or less said, or at least came off to me, as if Metaphor was going to give that exact same experience, or gave that exact same experience to so many other people that played it. And I am so excited to possibly, hopefully, have that same experience when I play it. So I would love to see Metaphor get that recognition, get that win, and, as the best RPG here. If it loses to Rebirth, I'm not mad at that. I love Rebirth. If it loses to Elden Ring, not mad at that. It's probably to be expected. I will be shocked if Like a Dragon or Dragon's Dogma 2 wins this, but that's very unlikely. It is likely going to go to Elden Ring as the actual winner, but I myself am voting for Metaphor to win and Best RPG. Alright, next we have Best Action Adventure, which is for the Best Action Adventure game, combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, Our nominees here, this has got to be this is so unfair. Our nominees here are Astro Bot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star Wars Outlaws, and The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. Okay, I mean, I haven't played Silent Hill 2, so, but like, I know that there's, there is traversal, there is puzzle solving, there is combat. I am aware of these things. I don't know if I would classify Silent Hill 2 as an action adventure game. Like, it's definitely more of a horror game, psychological horror with, definitely adventure and some action in it, but I don't know. That seems like the odd one out. That's very weird. Because like, you almost give it to Silent Hill because Silent Hill 2, everyone critically acclaimed here. So it's like, you're either giving it to Silent Hill 2 because the game's critically, like, it's a really great game, but may not fit the category, but you want to give it its flowers, or you don't give it its flowers here because it's like, it's a great game, but like, it's not an action adventure game. It is the odd one out across all these. I mean, even Astro Bot, like, it fits the criteria. I don't know if I would call it an action adventure game though. It's considered more of a platformer. By that definition, you can kind of say that 3D Mario games are action adventure games, but I don't think anyone would say that. This is a very odd category. I'm not gonna lie. This is very, very weird. Like, I don't know how this is gonna go. Do you go Astro Bot or, like, okay. Star Wars is probably not getting it. It's probably not going to get the win here. Zelda, probably not getting the win here either. Almost certainly, probably not. Because it's going up against Silent Hill, Prince of Persia, and Astro Bot. All three games that were very, very, very critically acclaimed. And again, it's not to disparage Zelda. Zelda also was very critically acclaimed. But like, again, if you think about what I'm saying, like the Silent Hill 2 thing, I don't know where else it's nominated, so it probably has better nominations elsewhere, but it's like, if it's here, like, do you give it a win because it's Silent Hill 2 and how good it is? Or do you not because it's not an action-adventure game, which then you put it up against Prince of Persia and Astro Bot, which both of those were highly, highly critically acclaimed. It'd be awesome to see Prince of Persia get the win, especially after the recent news and reports that the team that behind it is basically, you know, disbanded, so we're not getting another one of those. And I definitely wanted to play that earlier this year. Again, time, money got away from me, wasn't able to. So, like, I feel like this goes to Prince of Persia or Astro Bot. Really? Like, it goes to one of those two? As the winner? This is a weird category. This is a very weird category. The nominees on this one, I don't know. I don't. This is odd to me. It's very odd to me. Okay. I'm going to. What do I want to win? What do I want to win? Best action adventure game. Combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Alright. I'm gonna say, you know what? As much as I loved Astro Bot, I'm gonna give the vote to Prince of Persia because I, again, didn't play it. I did not play it myself. But I heard so much great praise for that game as like an amazing Metroidvania, an amazing, you know, way to bring back the Prince of Persia franchise, and it got so much love. And it's a shame to see the team get disbanded. It'd be awesome to see it get the win. So I'm going to vote Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I would love to see that win. Do I think it will? Honestly, I think it's a 50-50 split between that and Astro Bot on winning this, just because of how critically acclaimed both those two games are, especially Astro Bot. Astro Bot is getting 10 out of 10s across the board. So, I mean, Astro Bot is very likely to win this category. I would not be mad at Astro Bot winning at all. I'm probably pulling for that more than Prince of Persia. But I would love to see Prince of Persia get the win here. So that's why I'm going to go Prince of Persia. Alright, now we have the best action game category, which is for the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat. Now our nominees here are Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Ooh boy. Oh man. The Stellar Blade and Black Myth Wukong Brigade will, you know, they will raise hell if neither of those games wins in this category, to say the least. That said, though, I think this is a great list of games here in the best action game category. I think all of them are solid nominees, solid contenders. Actually, you know, it's tough. I don't know what I think will win. I think every game here actually has a very good shot at winning. You know, Helldivers 2, like I was saying before, everyone loved that game, loved that game when it came out earlier this year. It's done really well. Call of Duty, it's Call of Duty. Solid gunplay, solid action. It has been a pretty well-received game this year so far. Black Myth Wukong, I know that fans are going crazy over it. When it came to critics, though, I know that critics liked it to an extent, but there was some lukewarmness as well with the game too. So there's that. Stellar Blade, on the other hand, though, was actually like pretty across the board. Everyone really enjoyed that game way more than they expected to, from the critics, I mean. So I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Stellar Blade wins this. And then Warhammer 40k, I mean, you just watch any of the gameplay for that, and it's just like utter insanity. You watch the game, you watch the action, the combat, and just the bloodbaths and stuff. It's insane. So, you know, it really could go to any of these games here. What am I going to vote for? Here's what I'm going to do. What do I think will win best action game? What do I think will win this? Okay, based off these nominees here, I think Helldivers 2 will win this for the reason I said before earlier when it came to like best multiplayer, that it's just utter chaos with the action. Like, it's utter chaos, it's frenetic, it's intense, it's over the top, balls to the wall action. So I think Helldivers 2 is gonna win this category. I'm gonna vote Stellar Blade though. I'm gonna vote Stellar Blade. Again, this is another game that's like in my backlog where I almost picked it up when it came out, but again, time and money and things that I was focusing on, projects I was focusing on, I was like, there's no point in me getting it right now because I'm not gonna play it. It's definitely a game I intend to play during the holiday season, and yeah, you know, like it really impressed me what I saw of it when before it came out and after it came out. It looked like it was a lot of fun, and by all accounts, everything we've heard about it, it's also a really fun game. It has some great action, great combat, great mechanics and everything. So I would like to see Stellar Blade win this. That'd be really cool if Stellar Blade won this. I don't think it'll win. I think it'll go to Helldivers 2. But I think Stellar Blade might be like number 2. It might be like the runner-up behind Helldivers 2. So if it's not Helldivers 2, I think Stellar Blade would win. I think Helldivers 2 takes it though for sure. Officially, I'm gonna go Stellar Blade. That's what I would like to see win this category. All right, we skipped the best VR AR game. We're just gonna make a quick pit stop in the best mobile game category, obviously for best game played on mobile device. Nominees here being AFK Journey, Balatro, Pokemon Trading Card Game Pocket, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero. Haven't played 8 of the games at all, but I just want to make a pit stop here to say I'm almost certain Balatro's got to win this. Like, if you have been paying any attention to the industry at all this year, everyone has been raving about Balatro. It's almost certainly going to win this category, and it might even win other categories it's nominated in, depending on what else is up against. But Balatro almost certainly is going to be taking home best mobile game for sure. Count on it. And now we have Best Debut Indie Game, which is for the best debut game created by a new independent studio, with our nominees being Animal Well, Balatro again, Manor Lords, Pacific Drive, and The Plucky Squire. Okay, so Pacific Drive, a game, backlog game for me, yet again. Pacific Drive and Plucky Squire, you know, they're getting cut immediately, as good as those games are from what I've heard, even though, like I said, Plucky Squire I did hear more mixed things about. As good as those games are, they're gonna get cut. Manor Lords I heard a lot of good things about. I don't know too much about it, but I did hear some great things about it. The two actual contenders in this category, though, are going to be Animal Well and Balatro. Two games which people played them when they came out and they were like, yo, these are like absolutely fantastic video games. Balatro is addicting and so much fun. You just go one more round, one more game. Animal Well, it's so mysterious and cryptic, and it's an interesting puzzle type game. It's really interesting, really fascinating. People love both of those games. So I honestly would not be surprised if it goes to either one of those. I'm gonna put my vote down for the one that I also think is gonna win. I would love to see either one of those win, but I'm just gonna put a vote down on the one that I think will win. And like I said just a moment ago, I think it's gonna be Balatro. I think Balatro is going to take it for best debut indie game. Again, like I've been saying recently, you know, Balatro took everybody by storm. That game, people have been raving about that game so much, so much. So I'd be surprised if it did not win best debut indie game. Again, if it did it and it went to Animal Well, understandable. By all means, I'm not mad at that either. I wouldn't be too shocked considering all the reception, the praise Animal Well got. But I honestly think that Balatro is going to be the one that takes it for best debut indie game. Now we have Best Independent Game, which is for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. Nominees here are, once again, Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, and UFO 50. Interesting list of games here. Okay, alright. Everything I said about Animal Well and Balatro and the best debut indie game before, that applies here as well. Both, you know, great games, got a lot of reception, got a lot of praise, I mean. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, similar to Animal Well, I also heard a lot of great things about that one. Except that one's, I think, way more cryptic and very hardcore puzzle type game. It just recently came out, but I've heard some pretty great things about that one as well. And UFO 50, the little I've heard about it has been like some pretty high praise for how creative and unique and inventive this game is, packing in 50 small mini type games into a bigger picture type of game. That's really cool and creative. So this could really, I mean, in a perfect world, this could go any way, and even like realistically, it could still kind of go either way. But again, I think this is between Balatro and Animal Well. Like, this is an even split. Okay, I think this is an even split. I think any of these games has a good chance. Maybe Neva has a slightly lower chance. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes also might have a slightly lower chance because, like I said, that game, from what I've heard, is very hardcore puzzle, crypticness, and everything. So maybe that could also have a bit of a lower chance because of that. But I mean, even still, like, all these games, from what I've heard, great indie games. But again, I'm gonna have to say, I think Balatro is gonna take this. Like, I don't see a world in which Balatro doesn't win the other two categories I just said, best debut indie game and best mobile game. Well, more so best debut indie, but then also doesn't win best indie game. Like, I see no world in which that happens. So I'm gonna vote Balatro here again as well. That said, if Animal Well won this, I wouldn't be that surprised. I'd be like, hey, cool, that's awesome. If any of the other three won it, I'd actually be a bit surprised that they won over Animal Well or Balatro. That might be a bit of a shock. Be like, oh wow, Dark Horse Underdog came through, okay. But I think Balatro's gonna win, so I'll put my vote down on Balatro here as well. Next, we have Best Community Support, which is recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates/patches, with the contenders being Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, and No Man's Sky. Really, this, I feel like, you know, I don't know too much in this category. But I mean, just going based off the things I've seen online and stuff, perhaps it honestly could be Baldur's Gate 3. If not Baldur's Gate 3, probably Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2, I know, because of the fun things they were doing in terms of saying, hey, you know, oh, this planet got overtaken, you guys got to take it back. Oh, this planet got overtaken, you got to go take this planet over and stuff. Baldur's Gate 3, I know that they put out some interesting patches earlier this year. I think they also put in like mod support of some sort earlier this year too, so I think it could go to either of those. I'm not going to put a vote down. I think the answer is going to be between Helldivers 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 though. I think one of those two games is going to get best community support. We will see what happens though. We will see. Ooh, now we have Best Ongoing Game, which is awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time. Our nominees here are Destiny 2, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, and Helldivers 2. You know, here's what I'm gonna do. I don't know what will win this. I feel like Fortnite could win it because it's Fortnite. Final Fantasy could get it because it came out with this expansion this year, and that was pretty interesting, pretty good from what I've heard. Diablo 4 has had some interesting updates this year. Helldivers 2, again, it's been a sweep. But man, Destiny 2, they absolutely nailed the landing with the final shape this year. Absolutely crushed it with the story. Loved the conclusion to the Light and Darkness saga. And, you know, episode 1 echoes for their post Final Shape storyline so far. The post story Final Shape content, I should say. Episode 1 echoes was cool. I liked the story it told. So like it's been cool, it's been fine. I haven't done too much with episode 2 Revenant. I did the first bit of story stuff. I haven't done much since then because I've been head down on revisiting Kingdom Hearts 3. I will go back to it soon. But, you know, I'm going to go Destiny 2. Again, I gotta say, I want it to be Destiny 2. I think Destiny 2 has a very good shot at it this year, solely because of how well they landed the plane of the Light and Darkness saga with the final shape. The story was great, the gameplay was awesome, the new powers we got were great, the missions, the mission variety, everything on point with Destiny 2. So I'm going to vote Destiny 2 for best ongoing game. I would love to see it win. I think it has a very, very, very good chance of winning this year. I would like to see it win. If it's not Destiny 2, perhaps Helldivers 2 is what gets the W here. I mean, Fortnite's always a easy contender as well. It's always a strong contender, so we'll see. You know, Fortnite did some crazy stuff this year, so who knows what'll happen. Maybe it'll be Fortnite sweeping it again. Who knows? It'll be kind of a boring, answer, but whatever happens, happens, right? Now we have Games for Impact for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message. Nominees being here: Closer the Distance, Indica, Never, Life is Strange Double Exposure, and Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. I'm going to be honest, I don't have too much of a perspective on this one. Oh, there's one more, Tales of Kenzera Zhao. Well then, I still don't, you know what? I'm going to put my answer on Tales of Kenzera Zhao, and here is why, okay? Again, another backlog game, but that being said, man, like between these 5 games, I'm really not aware too much about Closer the Distance or Indica. I don't know too much about them. Never, I've heard some stuff about, but I don't know too much either going in past that. Life is Strange Double Exposure. Again, it's a game I want to play. I will be playing that one sometime soon. I've heard so many mixed things about it, especially regarding just like the way I guess like the second half of Life is Strange Double Exposure. From what I've heard, it's a toss up in terms of how much you're gonna like it. And then Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, we all know that came out early this year and got a very, very, very lukewarm response. Like either you loved it or you were not into it at all and were very disappointed by it. And the disappointments far outweigh the people who loved that game. Tales of Kenzera Zhao though. Tales of Kenzera Zhao. That game, from all accounts that I heard, like they said that the gameplay could see some improvements, but the story that was told there, absolutely fantastic story that was told there. It's a story about grief and how one deals with losing a loved one, was told very, very well. So because of that, I'm almost certain it's got to be going to Tales of Kenzera Zhao. I would love to see it go to Tales of Kenzera Zhao, especially after everything that Surgeon Studios went through this year regarding the release of the game or any controversy surrounding it, and then the recent layoffs that they had to do as well. Tales of Kenzera Zhao, I think, is going to win it. I would love to see Tales of Kenzera Zhao win this award as well for Games for Impact. We're going to skip innovation in accessibility just because I'm not too aware of the accessibility features or innovations that were made with the games that were nominated, so I don't want to make any assessments or judgments there in that category. We're going to go on though to Best Performance, which is awarded to an individual for voiceover acting, motion, and or performance capture. The nominees here are going to be Brianna White for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. She played Aerith in that game. Hannah Tell for Life is Strange Double Exposure. She plays Max, main character in that game. Humberly Gonzalez from Star Wars Outlaws. She plays the main character in that. Gosh, I'm blanking on the main character's name in Star Wars Outlaws. I know it. It's not coming to my head right now off the top of my head. Luke Roberts for Silent Hill 2, main character James. And then Melina Juergens, who played Senua in Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. From all accounts, from what I've heard, everyone here did great jobs in their performances. I personally love Brianna White as Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. She continues to kill it as Aerith. She is a fantastic, pitch perfect Aerith. Hannah Tell have not played Double Exposure yet. I imagine she does a good performance though. She did great in the original Life is Strange, so I see no reason why that would not be the case here. Humberly Gonzalez, again, have not played Outlaws. From what I heard about Outlaws, I think she was a highlight. I think she was a good mark in the game, so I think she has a good shot. Luke Roberts for Silent Hill 2. Everything I've heard, he brought it as James in Silent Hill 2. Absolutely killed it. Really elevated the character. So I think he has a very good shot at winning it. Melina Juergens as Senua's Saga, as Senua. Again, I think she, if she put out as good a performance as she did in the first game, I think she has a very good shot at winning this award. because she, like, her performance in the first Hellblade was special. It was spectacular. I played the first Hellblade earlier this year, actually shortly before Hellblade 2 came out, and I enjoyed her performance in it. She did a great job. So, you know, and also seeing just a bit of mocap that we saw from it, and cutscenes and trailers and everything, looked awesome, looked amazing. So, I personally, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to vote Brianna White. I would love to see Brianna White take the win for her performance as Aerith. You know, her role as Aerith, her performance as Aerith does so much for that game. It really lends the game a level of heart and soul and charm and warmth and love that is really important for this chapter in the Final Fantasy story, where it's all about the party bonding with each other, developing, going on this adventure, going around the world, seeing all these different things, getting to know each other better and everything. And then when you combine that with, you know, where this chapter in the Final Fantasy VII story ends off, and you know how important how important a role Aerith plays in it, and just the journey we go from the start of this game to the end of it, it's absolutely spectacular. It's awesome. I just really love the scene where she gives her speech, and when you're at Cosmo Canyon, she gives that speech at night. Man, like that, she did an amazing job with that performance. Amazing job top to bottom. So I'm gonna vote Brianna White. I would love to see her win. I think she has a good shot at winning it. If not, I think it's probably going to go to Melina Juergens from Hellblade 2 for Senua Saga. Because again, from what I've heard, I haven't heard anything bad about her performance in that game. So I think Brianna and Melina are the two front runners, with Luke Roberts probably under them. But I'm voting Brianna. I would love to see her win for Best Performance. Best Audio Design. This is for recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. Nominees here are going to be, just these 5, Astro Bot, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Senua Saga, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. So, I love Astro Bot. I don't know if I would give it Best Audio Design, although it does some great stuff with the audio design, especially if you have the DualSense speaker on as well. Hearing this little tick coming through there, and just the sounds coming through the speaker. It's so great, so awesome, so charming and everything. Has some great music too. That might not be for this category though. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna be. I don't know if that like score soundtrack is for this. So I don't know if I'd give it to Astro Bot, as much as I love the audio and sound design in that game. Actually, now think about it, pretty damn good. Call of Duty Black Ops 6. I mean, you know, Call of Duty always has great sound and guns, and great audio design, so I wouldn't be surprised. 7 Rebirth. That has, I love the audio design in that game. That, oof. Like, even if we're including music in this conversation, music is part of the conversation, oh man, Rebirth has got to be up there for me. Like, definitely above Astro Bot for sure. Senua Saga, though, now, if that is anywhere on the level that the first Hellblade was, I played the first Hellblade with headphones on, and that was one hell of an experience. So if this is on that level and or better, oh man, like, it's got to go to Hellblade, almost certainly, right? Silent Hill 2, from what I've heard, all accounts, the audio and sound design in that game is also very top notch, which it needs to be given the type of game that it is. So what I think Hellblade is going to win this though. I think Hellblade will win this because, like I said before, Hellblade is all about that audio design. If you don't have the headphones on when you play Hellblade, you're not getting the full experience, like point blank period. So I honestly think Hellblade will win this. Quality of the game be damned. I think Hellblade will win it because, you know, I imagine the sound design in it was just as good or better than the first game. So, you know, I don't mind voting for it. I'll put the vote on it. Sure, go for it. Hellblade, I think you'll win it. And if you are as good as the last game, by all means, you more than deserve to win. I would love to see you take the win here. So, Hellblade 2, I'm going to give it Best Audio Design. Here we go. Best Score and Music. For outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, and or licensed soundtrack. Nominees here are going to be Astro Bot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Silent Hill 2, and Stellar Blade. This is an interesting category. From what I've heard, Stellar Blade has awesome music, really exciting music. So deserves a nomination. Silent Hill 2, I can't speak on the music there in that game, so I'm sure it deserves its place here. Astro Bot, I did like the music in it. It actually got some great music in those levels. Especially the VIP levels, they did a great job with those. But even the non-VIP levels, just across the board, great music in Astro Bot. Me personally, I loved Rebirth soundtrack. I said it in my review. The music in this game is incredible. It's simply incredible. Like, I love the music when you're in the Junon region. Loved the music when you're on the boat going to Costa del Sol, when you're in Costa del Sol. Just all the music in this game is so good. And like, come on guys, like, I put the Bow Wow Wow battle music in my review on purpose because that is probably my favorite song in the entire game. That song is so freaking good. It's so amazing. I really hope they play it at the orchestra tour when they come in January. That said though, Metaphor. I have heard, okay, this is an Atlas game. They kill it with their music. They're known for having great music in their games. Persona 5 Royal has fantastic music. I love the music in Persona 5 Royal. I loved the music in Persona 5 before I even played Persona 5. That's how, like, it was just, I knew about it. I had heard it for years, 3 years before I played Persona 5. And then when I played Royal, I was like, oh man, this is hidden on so many levels. I imagine Metaphor is like just as good, if not better. Especially the battle song, which, based off what I've heard, it sounds like the battle song for Metaphor is as if God himself was in the studio with them, conducting and arranging and creating that piece of music for this game. I'm gonna say this is going to Metaphor. If not Metaphor, it's probably Rebirth is what I think would get the win here. I'm gonna vote for Metaphor though. That's what I would love to see win, and I think it's gonna win. No shade to Rebirth at all. No shade to any of the other games here. Again, I love Rebirth's music. I really did. I'm being realistic and objective here. Like, also like including my own taste based off what I think, based off what I know Atlas can do, and what I like, and all that. Like, I feel like Atlas is going to get it with Metaphor, and I feel like I would feel the exact same way if I had played Metaphor as well. So I'm going to vote Metaphor. I would love to see it win, and I think it's going to win for best score and music. Next, we have Best Art Direction. This is for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Nominees here are going to be Astro Bot, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Metaphor ReFantazio, and Neva. Interesting nominees. Let me read the description again. For outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Okay. So they're all great looking games. Neva especially has a beautiful art style. Metaphor also looks great. I haven't played it. Just going based off what I've seen, but off what I've seen, I feel like it probably will be the first one to get the boot, if not the first one. Like, between that and Black Myth Wukong, I feel like those two are the ones that would be the most likely to get the boot between these three. That's just my assumption. Again, I haven't played Metaphor enough to like get an idea of like the artistic design and animation in that game. But that's just what I'm thinking. Oh no, the UIs, the menus and UIs in that game, actually, they are freaking fantastic. They are phenomenal. I've seen the menus and UIs. They are beautiful. They are stunning. I forgot about that aspect of things. I just remember Persona 5 Royal. Persona 5 got some beautiful UI. And Persona 3 Reload as well. I've seen that. Metaphor. Oh yeah, I've seen that too. I forgot. Yeah, they got some damn good UI in there. Outside the UI though, I don't necessarily know if I'd say that it's like that it's an artistic Adonis, so to speak. Black Myth Wukong, from what I've seen, great visuals, great animations, but I don't know if it's gonna surpass Astro Bot and Elden Ring. Astro Bot is just pure charm. It is so charming, so wholesome, so freaking great. It's a beautiful game visually, but again, it's the little animations that they have everything in the game doing, the different robot creatures, the different robot animals, the other little bots that you could find, everyone that you hit, they all do a little thing. It's just, the game just oozes charm, and that charm shines through in every little aspect, and the animations is a huge part of it. So also I think Astro Bot has a good shot here. Elden Ring, I mean, it's Elden Ring. The base game is, it's an artistic achievement. I've not finished Elden Ring. I've only played 15 hours of it, but I loved the art design, the art direction of that game. So I wouldn't be surprised if Shadow of the Erdtree wins this. I think it has a very good shot. I'm gonna vote Astro Bot though, because I would love to see it get, recognition for its, for its absolutely adorable, charming animations and art design and everything. It did a damn good job. So I would love to see Astro Bot win, but I think it'll probably go to Shadow of the Erdtree. I wouldn't be surprised if it did. If it went to Metaphor, I would be kind of surprised, but not that surprised. Not that surprised. Again, Atlas, they be killing it with their UIs. They absolutely nail it with all their UIs. So, all right, we have Best Narrative now. This is for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. Nominees here being Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2. Okay, I loved Rebirth, but I can admit, the story is probably the weakest part of the game, the narrative specifically, because it's more of a character-focused story. It's more about building up the party and developing their stories and everything, but developing their bond, as opposed to pushing the narrative forward, which is, as I said in my review, that's what happens in this part of the original Final Fantasy VII as well. From once they leave Midgar to the ancient city, to the end of that section, the main narrative really doesn't move forward that much. But the thing is, when that is just a small section of a game, it's not that noticeable. It's a huge problem though. It's very noticeable when that is the entirety of an 80-hour game if you're doing a bunch of side content as well. So I can't give it to Rebirth. And also, as I said in my review, the end of that game gets very, very messy with its ending, unnecessarily messy. It didn't need to be as messy as it was. They tried to have their cake and eat it too and be real cryptic and stuff, and I'm just no, I don't really like that. So I cannot give, in good conscience, in good faith, say Rebirth should get Best Narrative for as the winner here. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, can't speak on it, haven't played it. For what I've heard mixed things about the narrative, so yeah. Silent Hill 2, it is still Silent Hill 2 story. From what I've heard, they've done a great job of, bringing it up to the modern day and everything. Senua's Saga, I actually didn't really hear too much about the story of that game. That could be a kind of a sign about how the impact of that game's story, so to speak. Metaphor though, I've heard nothing but glowing praise for Metaphor's story, so I imagine Metaphor has got to win this. It has to win this. I'm gonna vote for Metaphor as well, because again, I know myself, Persona 5 Royal is my second favorite game of all time. I know for a fact that I would have loved Metaphor ReFantazio, especially based off all the things I've heard about it. I know I would love that story. No, I would love it. So, I feel like if I have played Metaphor already, I intend to. If I have played it already though, I would 100% be behind saying, yeah, I want it to win. So I think it'll win, and I feel confident saying that I want it to win as well. All right, we have Best Game Direction here. This is a game that is awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. We have 6 nominees here. Okay, Astro Bot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and the Metaphor ReFantazio. Black Myth Wukong, sorry, goodbye. I don't even have to have played you to know that you're not winning in this compared to the other nominees. You're not. Sorry, goodbye. You're done. So it really comes down to Astro Bot, Balatro, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy, and Metaphor. Awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Okay. I loved Rebirth. I'm gonna have to knock Rebirth off this list as well as a winner. Great game, loved it. I don't think it's gonna win anything, because I don't know if I could say where I necessarily see it pushing any creative or innovative buttons, so to speak. I love the open world and everything. I love the combat. I mean, the combat is probably the most innovative thing about it, just how it iterates on a remake's combat. But everything else is more or less, kind of standard. Your open world is not breaking any molds in the open world. It's not breaking any molds in the story and stuff. So, like, it's really the combat and maybe visuals, but more so combat than anything. Again, not a bad thing, but it's not, as an overwhelming game direction, I'm not going to say it's Rebirth either. Which brings it to Astro Bot, Balatro, Elden Ring, or Metaphor. And that's the crazy thing. I feel like it's a 4-way race between all 4 of those games. And it could really go to any one of them, and I don't think anyone would be mad about it. I wouldn't be mad if it went to any of those games at all. Astro Bot has incredible levels, incredible creative levels, creative powers, unique, innovative designs behind everything in that game. Every level is like, what am I doing in this level? What am I doing in this one? What crazy creative thing am I going to be getting up to here and there and there? And it's just constantly pushing the envelope every single level, the entire game, start to finish. Which is why I can see it going to Astro Bot. Balatro, from everything I've heard about it, like the way it merges poker and roguelike, the roguelike genre is simply amazing, considering how much people are sitting here saying I just want to play Balatro all day long. Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, I can see it getting it because it's more Elden Ring, and Elden Ring already itself was a creative, like an innovative game on its own. From what I've heard, Shadow of the Erdtree is more of that. Not as a bad thing though. And then Metaphor, again, Metaphor, from what I've heard, it's like Atlas's magnum opus, so to speak. They've perfectly honed and refined their mechanics, their storytelling, their formula, and distilled it into this quote-unquote perfect game here with Metaphor ReFantazio. So, and also on top, amazing story from what I've heard. So like, I can see it going to literally any of these games. I would not be mad at it going to any of those games at all. I'm personally going to vote for Astro Bot because it's the only one I've played. So, and I would love to see it get recognition for that. And I think it has a very, very, very good chance at getting it. But between that, Balatro, Elden Ring, and Metaphor, it's going to be a tight race. It's going to be a tight race between those two. Black Myth and Final Fantasy, I'm sorry, you're not getting this award. You're not winning this one. It's going to be one of those other 4. But I personally am voting on Astro Bot for best game direction here. Oop. All right, and here we go. Now we have Game of the Year. The final one, the big one of the night. Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. Nominees here are Astro Bot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor ReFantazio. Okay, let's address elephant in the room right now. Elephant in the room, Shadow of the Erdtree is nominated for Game of the Year. It's not a game though, or not a full game I should say. It's a DLC for base game Elden Ring. Very controversial inclusion, understandably so. It's the question of a DLC being nominated as Game of the Year. It's not a full game. It's not a real game. You have to play through the whole game first before you, if not the whole game, you have to play through a majority of the base game to even get to Elden Ring, to get to Shadow of the Erdtree, my mistake. So it's like, how can we nominate it for Game of the Year? On top of that, it's like, we're doing it this year, but we didn't do it for Phantom Liberty last year. We didn't do it for the Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC when that came out, if not last year, the year before that. It's a very controversial addition, and I completely understand. I personally, I don't have a horse in the race. Okay, here's my thing on this. Shadow of the Erdtree, or better yet, DLC, period. DLC being nominated for Game of the Year I don't think DLC should be nominated for Game of the Year. I don't, unless it is a standalone thing on its own or expansions. I don't think they should be nominated for Game of the Year unless they are a standalone thing. Of course, there is the exception for MMOs. So if you're a Final Fantasy XIV or World of Warcraft, a game like that, and an expansion comes to you, that's a different story, because that's basically a brand new game right there. It basically is. It's also a different story when it comes to MMOs and not MMO type games. But if you're not an MMO, DLC or expansions, and if you're not a standalone product, it just feels weird, putting you up as specifically Game of the Year. I'm not saying it can't be like nominated for Best RPG, Best whatever else, but for Game of the Year, it just feels weird and wrong putting it there, because it's more of what you already got. And on top of that, again, you have to play through the original game to get to the downloadable content. It's not something you could just play on its own, start to finish, without having to go through 60, 70 hours of game before it. It's a weird gray area, in my opinion. That said, honestly, if they had, it's also, that's the other thing. The other reason I feel so weird about this is the fact that this rule, to my knowledge, of allowing DLCs and expansions to be nominated for a Game of the Year, this year is the first time that rule has been introduced or implemented. It wasn't implemented prior to this year, to my knowledge. I could be wrong on that. I know Phantom Liberty was nominated for things last year, but it was not nominated for Game of the Year, although people held it up in just as high regard as Shadow of the Erdtree. And people were saying it should be nominated for Game of the Year. So the fact that this rule has been introduced, seemingly introduced this year, causes the entire situation to come off as like From Software bias, just to allow this DLC to be nominated for Game of the Year, when other DLCs in previous years that were just as worthy were not allowed to be nominated. It just gives off a very weird, icky case of like From Software bias. And that's purely like a coincidental type thing, if this rule had been implemented years ago, or had always been the case that DLC was eligible for nomination for Game of the Year, then no one would have a problem with this. I imagine no one would have a problem with this. I would have a problem with it. I wouldn't even see if I have necessarily a problem with it. I do feel like it's just the odd one out here. Like, I get it, but like, maybe not. Maybe not on that technicality. Like, hey, Elden Ring DLC came out this year. Let's put this rule in there, seemingly, to get this in there. It just seems weird and messy, and I get it. It rubs a bit off as like From Software bias. That's not to say, and I want to also say this, preface this as well. I'm not saying that if you personally feel like Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree is your Game of the Year, that it can't be your Game of the Year. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying for the Game Awards specifically, that I don't think it should be nominated as a Game of the Year nominee. Your personal Game of the Year is your personal Game of the Year. Your favorite experience is your favorite experience. But me personally, I think that for the Game Awards itself, for this show, this body, DLC should not be eligible as a Game of the Year nominee. That's just me. That's just my perspective on it. All that said, though, let's get into what I actually think will happen here. Black Myth is not winning this. Nope. I'm shocked it even got in. Black Myth is not taking this. I think this is I would say it's a 5-way tie, but honestly, again, Rebirth, you are like the next one to get cut. I loved Rebirth. It's almost certainly the next one to get cut from this list, which again makes this a 3-way race now between Metaphor, well, 4-way, between Metaphor, Astro Bot, Balatro, and Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, for the exact same reasons I said in the best game direction category. There's just so much great stuff that all these games do. From what I've understood about the games I have not played, and from my knowledge personally, of Astro Bot, which is the game, I haven't said it because I didn't review it. But I would have given Astro Bot, like, if not a 9.5, I probably would have given it a 10 out of 10. It's a fantastic video game. I can see this going literally any which way between Astro Bot, Balatro, Elden Ring, and Metaphor. For all the reasons I've been saying up until this point for each one of those games. So right now, what am I going to vote for? What do I want to see win Game of the Year? I'm going to vote Astro Bot. I would love to see Astro Bot win this. Again, it is one of the best games I have. Well, I can't even say this year. I haven't played too many new games this year. But I mean, it is one of the best games I've played this year. But even past that, it is one of the best games I've played in a long time. It is one of the best PlayStation exclusives on the PS5. And not just on the PS5, but one of PlayStation's best first-party games, period. Point blank, period. This is one of the best ones they have ever put out. I loved this game. I loved this game top to bottom. I had a smile on my face the entire time I was playing it. Was head over heels for it. It was like I was a kid again playing this game. It's so charming, so wholesome, so fun, so joyful, so creative and innovative and imaginative and just wondrous. Every single second I was playing this game, it was like, what is around the next corner? What's the next power up I'm gonna get? How am I going to use this power up again in this level? I used it in 2 levels ago. How is it going to be used here? And just seeing all the creative things that they came up with in that game just continues to blow me away every single second that I played it. So I feel confident putting my vote behind Astro Bot is what I would want it to win. That's also why I feel like Astro Bot will win. But again, everything I said about Balatro before, everything I said about Elden Ring, everything I said about Metaphor still applies here. Those 3 games are also very, very, very strong contenders here for winning Game of the Year. And again, I do not think anyone will be mad if one of those 4 wins Game of the Year, because they are all more than deserving, to my knowledge. People would be mad, people would be pissed if Black Myth won this. And people would be slightly pissed if Final Fantasy VII Rebirth won it. But, you know, if Astro Bot, Balatro, or Elden Ring... Well, if Elden Ring won, people would be actually really annoyed because of the whole DLC thing that I mentioned before. That aside, though, like, a lot of people would be more than okay with that, Balatro, Astro Bot, or Metaphor winning this. So, I'm going to go behind Astro Bot with my vote. Honestly, I don't know what I could say I think is going to win it. It could really go any way. The easy answer, like the cheap answer, is Elden Ring. The mainstream answer is like Astro Bot. The kind of dark horse winner would be Balatro. And the, oh wow, it really surpassed all those barriers, answer would probably be Metaphor, because that is a long game. It's a very, very long game to get through. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But nonetheless, I mean, regardless, one way or another, we are hearing music from all 6 of these games played by the Game Awards Orchestra. So I think that's a win on its own. You know, we can take that win and run with it. All that said, though, those are my predictions for what I think will be winning at the Game Awards, what I would love to see win at the Game Awards. I know this was a long video, but I hope you enjoyed sitting down with me, going over the nominees that we did, having the conversation that we did, hearing my thoughts on it all. Let me know your thoughts on what you think will win at the Game Awards, what you want to win in each of these categories, and any other categories that I did not go over, down in the comment section below. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, that way you know as soon as new videos go live. I will be doing another video regarding Game Awards predictions. That one will be on what I predict will be announced at the Game Awards, because as we know, there are always a lot of trailers at the Game Awards for a lot of different games. So I will be sharing my predictions for what I think will be announced at the show in due time. You can look forward to the video coming in the next week or so. Within the next 2 weeks, that video will be out. So get subscribed to have the notification bell on. That way you know as soon as it goes up, and you could be one of the first people to watch it. All that said, my name is Tyler. This has been The Comfy Spot, and we will talk next time. Have a good one.